And a very good evening, everybody. I'm John Cole. Pete Borseth has been calling balls and strikes for 30 years in the Williston baseball scene. This season will be his last. And tonight we visit about his long career behind the plate, which he loved.
It's been a real experience for me. I love the kids, number one. I love the way I can give back to my community, and also a way of giving to a game that I love.
You wouldn't do it for 30 years if you didn't love it.
That's right, 30 years. I think I went from a size 34 waist and up to a 40, and so over the 30 years I've expanded my knowledge and my waistline, but it's been a real good thing in my life. I've appreciated the fans, I've appreciated all the coaches, and now I'm umpiring the kids of guys that I umpired when I first started.
Who got you started?
Actually, it was when Doug Black was running the Parks and Rec. I don't mind saying that I had issues with substances, alcohol and drugs, and when I went to treatment and got cleaned up, Doug Black called me and said, "Why don't you come out and umpire?" Because I'd played ball with him growing up, and he said, "We need umpires. Why don't you come and get into umpiring?" And umpiring was something that I really think helped me put my life or make my life go in another direction, and it gave me something to put my mind on other than things that I shouldn't do.
What was the toughest pitch to call for you?
You know, the toughest thing about umpiring is establishing a consistent zone, getting a zone, and then you see kids that throw the breaking ball, and I mean, you've got to really bear down and concentrate on the breaking balls, the curve ball. You'll see the splitters, fastball. I love a good hard fastball, but guys that can really mix it up, keep you in the game. And I love guys, the harder they can throw, the better I like it behind the plate.
Well, Pete gave back to baseball, gave back to Pete, and Pete gave back to baseball for 30 years. We thank Pete, and we thank one of my oldest friends in the city of Williston, Doug Black, for caring about Pete as a person and getting him into umpiring. More with Pete tomorrow on his long career umpiring here in Williston. All right, we got good news. We got good news. The Williston Oilers playing in the districts. They beat the Metros 14-8, so that's great news. Tomorrow they will take on the #1 seed. That would be the Bismarck Senators. So good going, Oilers. We got good news in the Twins front out in the Pacific Northwest. They have a 3-1 lead. Ryan Jeffords with an RBI single, and Eddie Julian, who's been just really, since they called him up from St. Paul's, been carrying the club. A solo home run. Max Kepler with a solo home run. Tom Murphy had one for the M's, and Byron Buxton not in the lineup again, 2 days in a row, off with a couple of mental days. So they just coming off the All-Star break. It is so sad that he cannot quite put it all together. But as I've said many times, I'm glad I'm not a member of the Polad family. So a lot of money to give a guy a couple days for mental day off. All right, Williston Keybirds get a couple of days off to regroup after dropping back-to-back twin bills to Bismarck and Mandan this week. Friday, they're home for the final time against the Govs at 5 p.m. Note the start time, 5 p.m. State begins on Tuesday in Dickinson. That is the real season. And we're not done hosting tournaments. 14-year-old Babe Ruth State is going to be at Offutt and Grandal on the 26th. Mandan and Jamestown at 10 a.m. at Grandal, Grand Forks and Fargo Red at 10:30 at Offutt, Devils Lake and Williston, 12:30 Grandal, and then West Fargo and Bismarck at 1 p.m. at Offutt. Sounds like a great time. Let's take a timeout here on First News at 10.